Greetings from Las Vegas. Hey folks, Kevin Inoue here, Fight Designer LLC, and greetings from CombatCon. This is my first time attending, but this is the 10th annual CombatCon event. This is my first time here, but it's been on my radar for a while. The folks who run it, a lot of them are old friends of mine from the Patty Crane workshop, who I've known for ages. Some of them are still like, oh, I can't get over you with short hair, because they primarily remember me as the ponytailed kid with the goatee who was doing fight stuff decades ago. But it's also a lot of the same folks who did the ISMAC, International Swordplay and Martial Arts Convention, was one of the predecessors to CombatCon, a little more specifically focused, and there were other HEMA workshops and things that this was a part of before. But now this is CombatCon. I'll put a link below, but it includes a lot of things from longsword and rapier and saber tournaments, including now lightsaber fencing tournaments from a organization there. Cosplay vendors, classes in all sorts of things, from whips to historical martial arts to current martial arts, contemporary combatives instruction. And one of the new things they're doing this year is these intensive tracks. And so they have a writing, action, screenplay intensive track. They have a stunt performance intensive track. They have a Macklemore system of martial arts intensive track, which is focusing on tomahawk and bowie knife, based on the work of Colonel Macklemore, who I had the pleasure of meeting and working with briefly when I lived in Virginia, but he did a lot of publication through Paladin Press, which is probably where most of you might have heard that name. He had a lot of beautiful books that he did, hand illustrated, and wrote on subjects from gladiatorial combat to frontier arts. And a filmmaking track, which is what I'm here to do. I'm actually running the filmmaking track solo this year. So it's been an interesting experiment. One of the unofficial mottos of CombatCon is to screw up differently next year, and that sort of learning process and evolution. So this is our first time running it. We're about halfway through now, and it has definitely been a learning process. There were a number of us who kind of didn't have all the information, so made assumptions, and we're at this point now where we're about to start shooting tomorrow, and so a lot of that has kind of come to a head. But I think we found a good space where we now have some answers, and we'll figure it out. We now have our ended up being 2 scripts. For all, it was going to be 3, then 2, then 3, then now 2 again. We have 2 filmmaking students, so they'll both get to direct and shoot their own scenes, and I'll be now free to kind of float around and assist instead of having to shoot a 3rd scene. We have 6 stunt performance track students who will all be cast in fighting roles, and we'll also pull a couple from the martial arts Macklemore system track, who also will get to fight in some of those, and then we'll use volunteers or others for some non-combatant roles that the writers included. And it'll be kind of like a 48-hour film fest of sorts, and that the writers have been writing their scenes. Now we'll have most of a day to shoot the scenes. That'll be cast by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We hope to have everything shot before the Time Travelers Ball and cosplay competition and stuff that happens tomorrow night, that I'm sure a lot of the folks want to participate in. And then most of tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, Sunday, will be editing for those of us on the filmmaking track. And then at the closing ceremonies on Sunday, we're going to be screening, hopefully, 2 short films that are sort of the result of the collaborative effort. So it's an interesting experiment, and hopefully we'll be able to build on and do better next year, whether that's me or other folks involved with this. But it's been great fun seeing some of these old friends, like Jared Kirby and Tim Rizuki, who are some of the coordinators, president and vice president of CombatCon. I met Jared at my first Patty Crane workshop, 99, 2000. In Banff, and it greatly shaped both of our lives. Tim, I knew a little bit when I was in Seattle, which was, I left 12 years ago, having been there for 10 years. He also hadn't seen me since I had long hair and a ponytail. The stunt track, one of the coordinators on that is Thomas Potter, who I guess hadn't seen the pictures of him that I used in the Theatrical Firearms Handbook, so I was able to show him that, and he was cracking up over the picture of us together, again, with me with a ponytail, and him a little younger. as well as some newer faces, which is great, and some folks I've known of for ages and just hadn't seen in person. So like Damon Stith, I had him as a guest artist on Zoom. I've taken some of his classes online over the COVID times. I don't think we'd ever actually gotten to meet in person, and this morning was my one session when I had a free time. Like I'm booked solid this whole 4-day thing, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, except that one session this morning when I could kind of sneak out, and other people ran that intensive in collaboration with one of the other intensives. They teamed up. So I snuck out and I took one of Damon's classes on spear and shield techniques of Africa, and that was good fun. And I got very sweaty on that. So it's been a great experience. I've gotten to see a lot of folks who I've known about for ages, other folks who I've known for ages. There's vendor booth tables here from things that I've never gotten to play with before. So like Albion Swords is here, Cult of Athena is here, Sterling Armory is here. Some lovely toys, which no, I cannot really afford to buy right now. That's okay. But I can still ogle, and now I can pick up and look at and be like, ooh, that longsword that I've always kind of thought was really cool, that's got a really profound hollow grind on that. I bet that makes a great cutting sword. They have cutting competitions here too, by the way, with tatami. So I'm so glad to actually finally be able to make it to one of these. It's been on my radar for a while. Jared's been talking to me for a while about bringing me up here to run various tracks or programs, whether it was theatrical firearms or filmmaking or things like that. But I think after the Screen Combat Handbook, and they dove more into the intensives, he was really wanting me to do the filmmaking stuff. So I think everyone's enjoyed the classes that we've been able to do. The production end has been a little bit more of a learning curve, and so we're still getting in on that, but I think we'll be able to pull it off. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all the folks involved with that, all the great people here teaching classes, Anthony Maringalongas, the Martinezes. There's so many talented folks here. Some really big names in the industry, and they've had over the years a lot of other folks who can't make it this year. Kyle Relling from Australia couldn't make it this year, which is kind of a bummer. But we do have Paul McDonald, who wasn't able to make it to the last few Patty Crane workshops, so I finally got to see him again. It's been a while, so that was fun. A lot of great folks. So I'm enjoying the experience. I'll admit, I was a little nervous about COVID. There's not a whole lot of us who are regularly wearing masks. I've been trying to wear a mask anytime I'm not in my own room. I thought about getting a roommate, and then I was like, you know what? COVID, no. I want a space where I can take my mask off and not worry about it, and not worry about bringing something back to my family. So no, I have my own room here. We are in the Flamingo Hotel. Yes, it's Vegas. Yes, Vegas is insane. Yes, everything is overpriced most places. There is a stretch Hummer and an ambulance in front of the Caesar's Palace across the way. Vegas. So I haven't been able to get out and see any shows or anything, just there's always something going on with CombatCon, and again, as the sole lead of this intensive track, I have been pretty darn solidly booked. Like, I ended up having 40 minutes, less than that actually, to run out, find some cheaper food, and then I had like 5 minutes to eat my food before running down to class. For lunch, I'm having the half of that I couldn't finish for dinner, before reading the second script that I just got, and then maybe going down and enjoying some of the Friday Fun Night stuff that is happening tonight, putting in an appearance there. But I just wanted to give a little report and shout out, and if it wasn't on anybody's radar, this is an annual event that happens in Vegas. I did put in for the SAFD Nationals. Didn't happen. This was a great alternate plan that I had kind of ready and waiting when I heard about that. The summer is an active time. For those of us on academic calendars, winter break and summer are kind of the main times to do things. I chose not to do the ATHA this year, for example, just lack of support, financial support, and some other issues with that, and the lack of an online option and all that. But I wanted to have something that I was doing to be like, look, I'm pursuing my professional development, I'm working on my career, I have people who are asking me to help with things. And that was why I said yes, in large part was that sort of calculation, but I've got to say, it's so nice seeing friends from up in Canada who are like, oh, I haven't seen you in years, let me buy you a beer. Friends from Scotland, friends from New York, friends from California, Stephen Fick, the Longuses, others who I hadn't seen in a while, and it's so nice to see again. So if you get the chance, I'll probably send a link to the videos when we get them done, things like that. Friends from Seattle too. How could I forget that? Ryan Spicard is one of the filmmaking students, and it's great to get to see and work with him again, because we've been working on movies for decades together.
Postscript. Since I didn't get around to posting that video before, I can now add it's about a week later since I got home after a very long trip, got back at like 5 in the morning. Had a day of getting stuff done at home with a mask on just in case because of COVID, and then came down with a fever and tested positive. So while I tested negative before I flew back, that time on the trip back was enough for things to incubate, and I did indeed get COVID and have spent pretty much the last week in this room. I'm just on my laptop and trying to get things done, or just sleeping and resting because it knocked me over. Joys of conventions in this day and age, and I really wish more folks were taking it seriously and masking up. I've had to cancel some plans. I didn't really get to see some family that visited. I haven't gotten to hug my kids in weeks. Some of them were at camp before I went to CombatCon. Got back while I was gone, and then I came back, and I had to keep my distance. So it's not been ideal. At least I'm not teaching right now and don't have to worry about my main day job being interfered with. I can be working on syllabi and all. But we survived. It wasn't ideal. I think organizationally, there's a lot of feedback in terms of how we can make this better next time. Really having just 11 to 6 to videotape everything, and then a day to edit, and then screen at closing ceremonies, but no time for feedback, which is unfortunate in terms of like, hey, what did we learn? Here's how we could have done things differently. Let's critique each other's work. That kind of stuff never got to happen. And I did have to step in as one of the performers, which is when I took my mask off, which I hadn't all weekend. I really, that's probably what did me. And I guess I wish I hadn't, but live and learn. So I'll put some links below. You can see the 2 videos the filmmakers made, including the one of me with my mask off getting killed and getting COVID. And so that's my quick PS to add to all of this.
So until I have something else to share, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy. COVID is real. Wear your mask anytime you're not by yourself or on camera, and having to take it off. Oh, hello, helicopter. The other day I was like, what? People are flying through the sky. Oh, that's the zip line. Never mind. So until I have something else to share, take care, and I hope you're doing well. Thanks for watching.